and I'd like to call the meeting to order. So, the chair's report. I just wanted to say thank you to Dr. Burnham for all of her forums. I'm not sure how well attended they were, but I'm glad that you made the time for the people who actually wanted to go to them. And I know you have one tomorrow. Tomorrow, is that your last one?
For now. Yes.
For now, okay.
Yep.
Okay. And I went to the open house last week for the high school, and I did go to the special Hidden in Plain Sight. It was eye-opening, and I think that anyone who has teenagers should be able to see that. Now, is that still available?
We could arrange to set that up again.
For maybe parent-teacher conferences?
Perhaps that would be a good
For
opportunity.
people who did not come to open house, because some people don't even go to open house with the older kids. I'd say 50% of them. But for parent-teacher conferences, that might be a good idea. Because it was very interesting to look at this stuff and talk to the woman from the DA's office.
Okay. So I'll talk to the principals, then I'll see if we can coordinate and get somebody from the DA's office to come out and set up again.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Thank you. And I guess all of our sports teams are doing pretty good. I don't know. Eliza would tell us, but I don't really have anything else. Just thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So then we have warrants on the table. You're all signing, correct?
Yep.
And we have a line item transfer, or two. Do we have more than one?
Three.
Three.
Yeah, I was going to say at
Three.
least two.
Okay. Now you're going to tell us about them.
Sure. So one is for the nurses. They're moving out of supplies to get memberships for some of the nurses. Another one at the Turkey Hill is a line item transfer to send one of the staff members to a training so that they can be the go-to in the building for the Ames web software that they use. And then the last one
was the flower show. That was the
went to the bus?
Yeah.
Oh, yep. Yep. So they're just, the bill's been paid, but they paid it out of the student activity account, so then now they're just
Moving it,
transferring to put it to the right account.
Okay.
Yep.
So I need a motion to approve the line item transfers as presented.
I move to accept all three of the line item transfers as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And then we have minutes. Did you guys look at all the minutes?
Yes.
Yeah. And so I need a motion to accept and approve all the minutes.
I move to accept the
Oh,
minutes.
the policy sub though.
That'll have to...
Well,
that's gonna wait.
That has
So
to
you
be
do the
separate.
other ones, yeah.
I'll do the other ones, yeah.
Actually, there are no minutes for the regular session from September 6th.
That one's
Christina's
okay.
been...
Sick.
Yeah.
So it's just the two executive sessions.
Right.
Right on the
Okay.
15th.
Yeah.
Then I move to accept the executive session minutes from September 6, 2008 and August 15th, 2008. 18. Oh, well, there you go.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Okay.
I just lost 10 years really fast.
And then, when do you need to make a motion for the policy subcommittee?
Yes.
That one big one.
I make a motion to approve policy subcommittee meeting minutes as outlined.
Okay. I need a second, but that, we just approve it.
I'll second.
Okay. So that's, that's just that too. What's
Aye.
approved? Aye. Okay, superintendent's report.
Okay. So I was also going to comment on the open houses. In the last little more than a week, we had open houses for all of our schools. I was able to attend all of the open houses. I too was very impressed with the displays for both the middle school and the high school open houses that's displayed from the DA's office and in plain sight. Lots of positive comments from parents who had moved through the display. I would also point out that the high school hosted a college planning presentation as part of their open house evening. And Turkey Hill hosted an informational night for the Nature's Classroom field trip that will be coming up, scheduled the first week of October. Let's see, Lunenburg Access Television. I'm really excited about this.
Oh, yeah, you're...
We will be starting a new show that will feature all that goes on in the Lunenburg Public Schools. We'll tape our first show at the end of October if all things go as scheduled. It will air in November. And we will focus on topics that we think are particularly relevant and important to get information out to the community. The first show that we do will feature the interface referral service. We want to make sure that we get that message out to the community because it is a service that's available to all Lunenburg residents. You do not have to have a child in the schools to have access to the program. We want to get that message out. A little bit update for you on the entry plan, although the chair's already given you a little bit of that update. The third full workshop day for the induction program will be October 3rd. My mentor, Maureen LaCroix, spent the day with me in district last Friday. As part of that day, she attended a leadership team meeting, and we visited 2 of the schools, popped into classrooms, and we also had some one-on-one time. To date, there have been 2 community forums, 3 parent forums, and there's a youth organization forum scheduled for tomorrow evening at 5:30. I've also pushed out, and it's on the website, a link to an online survey with the 5 questions that are the focus of all of the forums, the same 5 questions that were in the entry plan that I presented to you. I have had some really good response so far, largely from parents through that online venue. So even though the actual face-to-face forums haven't been heavily attended, people are having an opportunity to participate online. I have had some responses through that online format from some community members, some staff, and actually a few students. So that's something that I'm looking forward to analyzing. Let's see. In addition to the forums that I talked about for parents and community, there are now forums scheduled for me to meet with the faculty in each building. I had a faculty forum yesterday at the middle school, and I'm also starting the forums for students, again, focused on those same 5 questions, but I'll meet with student groups during their lunch. It'll be lunch with the superintendent while I ask them questions. So I'm really looking forward to those in particular. We have a fantastic opportunity. It's one of the things that I talked about through my interview process, the ways in which I've done work in a collaborative effort across district. There are new social studies and history standards that have been released. Folks are going to have to start to realign their curriculum with those new standards. There is a multi-district group that will work together to map the new standards K through 12. For any district that sends a teacher to participate in this work, the district will receive access to all of the maps that are created. So we could send one 10th grade teacher, but because we participated, we will get the documents that are generated for all grades. It really is a phenomenal way to work, and there are some teachers that are very excited for the opportunity, as am I. So we'll be providing you updates as things progress on that front. Also excited to be planning to host Google Palooza again, 3rd annual. I don't know if you know that Annika Scott, our assistant principal for the year here at the middle high school, is a Google certified educator, and she will be doing some of the workshops representing our district as we host for anybody who's interested in coming. I think it's super exciting. I know that these kinds of workshops really re-energize folks and get them excited about new things that they can learn how to do and use in their classrooms. So I'm really, really excited to be able to host this one.
That's a professional development day?
It is.
And what day is that? Which one is that?
It's going to be on, I think, a Saturday, Sunday. It's in February. The tentative dates are February 20th and 21st. I
So
think.
the end of Feb break.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
okay.
it's exciting.
That is exciting, okay.
Additionally, we received communication. We have been awarded continued accreditation for the high school. So
Yeah.
kudos to the high school. They have some work to do to incorporate some of their recommendations for focus into the school improvement plan, largely focused around curriculum mapping and having some consistency in the maps. So, we will continue to do that work. And lastly, I received just yesterday the annual report from the Sizer School. It's part of the regulations that they have to provide this report to school committees and superintendents from the sending districts. So you all received a copy of that.
That was
report.
long. I haven't even looked at that.
Yeah, it was long.
It's really long.
I perused it
Yeah.
at 8:30 this morning.
Oh,
And I think that's it.
That's all good stuff.
It is good stuff.
We don't have a student rep today, so we're going to pass over that. So the new business today is the school draft calendar. Everybody take a look at that and the guidelines that were created.
I like it.
It looks pretty good, actually,
looks
doesn't
really
it?
good.
Wow.
I had a question.
First draft out.
I was like...
I was like, wow. Wow.
It looks fabulous. There was something that I didn't see that I typically do. And I had a feeling, based on your area of expertise, there was a reason for that.
What is it? What is it?
No professional
No,
development
sure.
days.
Yeah.
So that was...
I noticed that.
So, but I figured you
was
had a
like,
plan.
there are no half days, there are no...
Right. So I think, it would be worth a discussion. Is that something that you would like me to come back with a recommendation for a number of days and which days for early release? Or would you like to be the ones to provide me guidance as to your thoughts on that?
Well, we had provided guidance.
3 meeting days. You're right.
So one was built in the day before school starts.
Yeah.
Right.
I would love to share last year when we workshopped
Yeah, we're...
with the LEA and with teachers, one thing that they really were crystal clear about was the more, and especially early in the year, there's so many weeks that are shortened. So 4 and 5 day weeks are always the optimum. They said any less than 4 days, even 3.5, is just not, it's really, really challenging. So to get productive work done. So my thought is just keeping that in mind as the dates are being...
So thinking about the calendar that you set for this year, you think a similar spacing of days, or are you seeing that there are too many
I
early?
think it was pretty well spaced out.
It did, because we've gone back and forth with, for many years we had a full day the end of September, about a month in. Some feedback that we had gotten from Superintendent Collins was that having some of the days earlier in the year was really helpful, because if you're working on this professional development, it's giving time for implementation.
Right.
So if they're all in the second half of the year, which completely made sense, I mean, if this is finalized as it typically is in February, and it's made public, shortly after, people have adequate time for planning. So, something even late in September, if that, if there's a week that it seems to work. But I don't know how you're feeling, and with your expertise and your, I'm sure, thoughts around good ways for professional development, I don't know if the way we've typically done it
So here's a thought for your
aligns with your
consideration. Many districts have their full day professional development day on Election Day in November, because many
Schools are being...
districts. They're
yeah.
using the schools as polling places.
Yep.
On that day,
We have that
because
this year
so
as well.
many,
And students of it.
because so many
Presidential.
have that day, that's the day that NPEN, you may recall that I spoke to you a little bit about that. That's the Northeast Professional Education Network. It's a collaborative effort amongst districts, superintendents, assistant superintendents, to contribute to the development of highly targeted quality PD for those roles in every district that are few in number. Your school psychologists, your paraprofessionals, nurses, instructional technology folks, library media, phys ed. Collaboratively, if you pool a small amount of money, you can now provide targeted PD that's relevant to the roles that they play. One of the things that I feel very strongly about is that very few times is a professional development opportunity a one-size-fits-all. There are occasions, as an example, when districts rolled out the new educator evaluation system, every member of the district needs to know how this works and how they need to work within this new structure, right? That's one example of a one-size-fits-all. Everybody needs this. But those topics are few and far between, where you really are providing relevant experience for every member of your school community. So the opportunity for us to participate and not have to provide substitute coverage to allow our librarians, our school psychologists, et cetera, to attend the NPEN workshops, we really would have to have a full day PD on election day in November.
Which would be the 5th.
The 5th, right? It's the Tuesday, the first
So
Tuesday.
thoughts on that?
First Tuesday.
You know, perhaps looking at how parent-teacher conferences are structured then, because
Sure.
that is that cluster of month
Mhm.
that different buildings, and this is the second year in a row we've sort of piloted or had
The
half-day
Sure.
for one building versus another. The bus
Not
company's
district-wide.
been,
Right.
yes, the bus company has been fabulous in working with us around that. I don't know if that's something to consider again, so that it's not a whole district being affected, with 4 or 5 fragmented weeks in a row. But it's how we're set up this year. I mean, we've got...
True.
We've
And
got that.
we do have a full day at the end of this month.
Yep.
Maybe if that full day were shifted to November, and maybe we could shift some of the other things a little bit into October. I can take a look.
Well, the
With
Is
the
it best
leadership
to go
team.
earlier in the year? Because
Not school on
the other feedback we'd gotten
Right.
was that March is a long month.
Yes, it is.
And, yeah. So I don't know if, we've often had a half day in March, but could a full day still be meaningful in March? I don't know, but it's just something to think about if we're thinking about where does another day go, as opposed to stacking it in the fall when you've already have so many fragmented weeks.
Well, the March is the MCAS testing, right? And that's where you have to plan around that.
They've typically done it sort of leading in as a break day. That's what we had done but I don't know that that's a good answer, but it's just...
But in the guidelines, okay, so the third professional development day should be Tuesday after Columbus Day. That was that committee years ago that did the calendar committee. That's one of the things that they had suggested. It accommodate, and it gives you a 4-day weekend for the...
It does, but we got feedback this year that was not.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just
We were given
pointing, yeah.
direct feedback, and that's why this calendar
Yeah.
does not have it structured that way, that having those back-to-back shortened weeks after that, when you've got when you've got a full day off the end of September, then you've got more the next following weeks.
But I don't think
at 4 days.
I think that wasn't taking, they never thought it would be a full day in September when they wrote this.
Correct,
Yeah.
I think we got away from that for a
Right,
year or two
right.
because people were saying...
Well, because
"The kids just got to
there was
school,
one year
full
we
day off."
stacked 2 and before school even started.
That did happen. And there was feedback from
It
the
was the
LEA
Alice
that that was
training.
not, because by doing that, that meant that our staff had to come back on the Friday, a week earlier. So I think, this has sort of been, the last few years have been a mishmash of taking previous feedback and trying to implement it and see.
But that was specifically for Alice training. That 2 days.
Oh, okay,
That
it was.
specific.
But we were also given the feedback that that was,
Right, well, they didn't want to do it again. They had to that
Yes.
year. They wanted it that year,
Yeah.
but they didn't want to do it.
Every year.
Yeah.
routinely that
Yeah.
way.
Okay.
I'll just be curious about that, the split for those early dismissals, how that works this year. We
Yeah.
didn't do that last year.
We did.
We did.
did?
We did. Bus company helped us out with that. and
I thought this was our first.
I thought we got generalized feedback from principals when they were, with us, either maybe when they were presented their budgets, because I do remember us asking about it, that it seemed to go okay, but that's, it's first year.
Okay.
So what are we going to, the 5th? Do you think that's...
5th of November sounds like.
Yeah.
Does that sound like something that...
So that's 2 full days. There's just one more full day that needs to happen, right?
Yeah, okay.
And then that would be the question if March is a better day to do something like that.
I don't know.
Because you need to have a little break in between the 2 long breaks.
Right, and it's a longer break in December. That, we're getting into that when Christmas falls, toward the end of the week, you end up.
Right, and then
with a
they
longer
added a
Christmas
half day for the 20th,
Yes.
which I know teachers like to have that right before the weekend of the holiday.
Is that that's
That's
not
a
a
half day.
PD, correct? That's just an early
Nope,
release.
it's just a
Okay.
half day.
Just an early
This year we did it as a PD, correct? Or
I don't
no?
remember. We might, yes, I think we did.
We did do it as a PD.
That could be a good place to put a PD. The 20th, and the kids get out and they have professional
I mean, that's always made sense. I mean, that day before, the holiday break in December is not, with everybody so excited to leave, there's not, a whole day tends to not be the
For the
most
kids.
productive learning for,
It is
so
PD.
it makes
Tough
sense.
day
It is a
for
PD day
teachers.
this year.
It is a PD this
It's
year.
a really tough day for teachers, particularly elementary teachers, from my own experience.
Right.
That after you finally manage to make your way to that day, then, okay, wait a minute, take your math stuff and come over here and concentrate on this. I don't know that that would be the most productive day.
No, but it'd be for a professional development day.
I don't know that that would
Oh,
be
okay.
the most productive
You think they would
professional
just be
development
done?
day. I mean, people would do it, obviously. I mean, the professionals, they will do
Just that
whatever you
they're-
ask them to do, but,
Their brain's kind of tired.
Oh, well,
yeah, that's what I mean.
Well, we don't...
Everybody's ready
So
for
we
break.
could get feedback from them after this year, because we don't make this calendar till February, and they're going to have
Absolutely.
done it
And in
this
the
year.
meantime-
That's a good idea, yeah.
I can work with the leadership team to get their thoughts. Once we have some thoughts mapped out, they can share it with their
Yeah.
building-based leadership team that has
Yes.
teacher representatives. We can get that input back to the leadership team, and then I can come back with
Okay.
some suggestions for you to consider.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yep.
And we can bring it back in January.
Right.
So that, we
More
can
discussion.
still have discussion, make edits and whatnot, so that it's still...
Okay.
But then we get a feel for how did a second year, how did having the staggered parent-teacher conferences
Right,
go,
absolutely.
things like that. That would be great to look at all that after, a big chunk of the year's gone.
Okay?
Okay, that looks good. Right?
Yeah. I'm-
But you're okay
Tenth
with
is
the
a-
the
With
start
other-
date,
yeah.
the end
Oh,
date?
yeah.
Oh, all
you know?
that other
June-
stuff
June
looks
10th
good.
is
So
a
everything-
Great day.
Yeah, looks good.
Okay.
That's what
I
I
like that.
know.
Whoa, this is-
But then I went, wait, there's
That's
no
like when I
PD.
graduated school.
Yeah.
But it was that.
No nonsense.
Okay.
Straight up school, all the time,
Yeah.
all day.
And
All
I feel
school,
like-
all the time.
I feel like how you broke it out by month, how many days were in each month.
Yeah, we never
Yeah.
had that,
Which is
though.
nice.
Remember, we would be counting.
Yep.
I just...
There were times we were
it's just
actually
an
counting.
additional,
And it was
like,
wrong.
nice little tweak that is helpful.
Can I just say that kudos to Liz Peterson for that?
Yeah,
Oh,
thank
then
you.
kudos to Liz Peterson for that. Thank you.
Because there were years we counted and it was off, remember?
There were days, yeah. Well, I only remember last year.
Yeah. Okay. So now the next topic is facility fees for the Scouts.
So I have received some communication from troop leaders that they were surprised this year because they received an invoice for facility use, and they hadn't in prior years. I'm not sure why that is, because the fees were voted and were to take effect back in July of 2016. But for whatever reason, particularly with the Scouts, they're a nonprofit organization. They have limitations as to their fundraising efforts. A lot of it goes back to the larger organization and doesn't stay with the troop. So it presents some challenges. Additionally, something to consider relative to available venues that maybe don't charge, particularly for the Brownie troops. They are young children. They need to be in car seats if they're being transported. So if they were to leave school and have to go to one of the local churches, as an example, there would have to be parents who take them in their car, have to take extra car seats, transport them. They have regulations where any of the adults that would be transporting those children have to be quarried, etc. It just now rolls in an extra layer of complexity that if the organization could have space in the school, much of that would be alleviated. So with that in mind, and not knowing what transpired prior to now that invoices weren't sent out, I am asking that we defer charges for the Scout troops until January to allow us some time to explore options. One of the options I'd like to pursue is to see if we can find a benefactor that would pay the rental fee for the troop, so that the troop doesn't have to do some additional fundraising in some way to raise monies to rent the facilities. I'm sure that there are people in town and even outside of town that know the value of the experience and might be willing to donate the fee so that they could have space in the schools. As I said, it would buy us a few more months to problem solve and see if there's a way to still take in the rental fee, but not have it produce an undue burden on the troop, as they didn't expect it, they didn't plan for it. It really kind of took them by surprise.
What's the dollar amount that we're looking at?
So the Girl Scout troop meets a little bit more often. They have more meeting dates.
Like twice a month.
$210.
210,
Yeah.
and then the other
For the
one was
Brownie troops.
270 or something.
Yeah.
It was
we would be meeting about
I
2.5
think it's
hours.
262. So the Brownies have a total of 14
Annual.
meetings.
Annually, yes.
The Brownies have a total of 14 meetings, 2 hours each meeting. Yes, and the Girl Scouts have 1.5-hour meetings, but they have 20 meetings in total. 8 of those meetings would happen before January 1st, and for the Brownies, 6 meetings would happen before January 1st. So
That's
How
the
many
nonprofit
troops
rate.
total?
Yeah.
I went
It's
back
about $7.
into
Yeah.
our software for requests for permits,
Mhm.
and while there are, I'm sure, several more troops in Lunenburg, historically it's been 2, this Girl Scout troop and the Brownie troop, that have used the schools for their meetings in the past. Again, it would just give us an opportunity to see if we can find some way to honor the fact that the board has voted a facility fee, but maybe finding folks who are willing to sponsor and act as a benefactor for the troop.
Can I comment?
Well, public comment, right?
I would, yeah.
Public comment, okay. So,
And then we probably need you to write your name down too.
Yeah.
For the secretary.
Yeah. You have any thoughts?
I think the local business idea is great. I'm very much in favor of, since this was not expected, deferring for several months to give some time to look at, Plan B, Plan C. There are many local businesses that, they donate money for T-shirts for, youth soccer or things like that. So, smaller amounts of money, for small businesses tend to be more doable. So,
Yeah, and again, for each troop, you're talking about around about $200 each troop.
Yeah.
So I
It
think-
doesn't seem an insurmountable amount of money.
Right.
And that's to cover the electricity and everything else that's being used in the classroom while the troops are there. And cleaning up afterwards, right?
Yeah.
So, it's not that we're just trying to gouge
No.
our citizenry for more money. We got to be able to pay for those facilities, so.
Yeah.
But like Wendy, I'm all in favor of deferring payment until January and give everybody a chance to figure out how they can make that budget shortfall or the unexpected amount of money.
one other thing I think that's important to note is that for Girl Scouts, part of, their sort of guidelines are that they don't pay for their facilities.
Right.
That has not changed.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. So that's another.
Right.
They would have to, if we charge, then they would have to
Then they couldn't
relocate.
use it, yeah. So we
Based
just
on their
need
So
to-
Girl
guidelines.
Scouts?
They're not allowed
Girl
to
Scouts.
use a facility that charges.
I looked closely at the language when I met with the troop leader,
Mhm.
because how it's
Written.
stated
Yeah.
is very important. They are asked to, when they consider a location for their meetings, consider certain things. Cost is the very first on the list. It does not indicate that they cannot use a facility that charges a fee. They should just factor that in, and if possible,
Consider
finding
free
a
option.
location that would not
That would not
cost
charge.
would be the option that they would encourage you to pursue.
But they
And if
also
we-
would want to consider that car seat issue and
Exactly.
The convenience
That-
and
that's
safety, yeah.
for-
Right.
Convenience and safety.
And when they're in our schools, there is still security in the building.
Right.
So I think that there are extenuating circumstances here that make me feel that I would want to try to find a way to make it work so that they could stay in the schools and not, force them into undue hardship and complex
absolutely.
transportation with car seats and, all of that sort of thing. If there's a solution to be had, I'd like to find it.
And deferring would just buy us some of that time to figure it out.
Right.
And it allows somebody from the community to step forward
Mhm.
as well.
If anybody's listening.
I know.
The Lions Club.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know the Lions Club listens quite a bit. so- And they're very good with our community.
Yeah.
Take care of our kids.
Yes.
And the Lions Club does have a grant specifically geared toward these type of expenses that come up. Last year, the school district utilized it in this building to, when in the winter months when they wanted to offer our aerobic space and weight room space to have a certified professional in there for the kids who, when it wasn't being used for sports, they wanted to have our students be able to use that in the off-season when it was
Which
cold
is a
outside.
great option
So
for kids.
that money was not readily available anywhere, so the grant from the Lions Club is simple. One doesn't have to be a professional grant writer to do that, and the school has, I believe, $2,000.
Yeah, I-
$1,750,
yeah.
something like that the Lions Club granted to Lunenburg Middle High School. So it's these type of situations that they have that grant set up for.
There are options.
Yes, that's one option. There's definitely other options, but just when you brought up Lions, it made me think of that.
Well, they're the the first ones that come to my mind when people are looking for from help from anybody in this town, because they're out there in the boot drives and they're supporting the Boys and Girls Club. I have had the opportunity to meet with several of them, and they're very community oriented, and this is obviously a community issue.
So this particular item is under discussion, so we're not taking particular action at this time? Or do we?
Well, it's not under the action part of the...
We can take action.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we're allowed, according to policy.
If you all agree that...
If we all agree that we want to take a vote, we are allowed to do that.
Okay.
We have to vote to take the vote, so...
I make a motion that we vote to take a vote,
Okay. All in
to
favor?
allow a vote on the deferral.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so now I need a motion to vote on the
So
deferral.
now I'll make a motion to vote on the deferral till to January for the fees,
This is deferred for the scout fees.
for the scout fees to January.
I need a second.
I'll second that as well.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, so then,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you.
We'll find a solution.
I have no doubt there's a
I know.
solution out there.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Okay, so now the action is the first reading of policy numbers 6501, 6505, 1202, 1700, and 2200. Did you all take a look at the tweaks to those?
Yes.
Did you have any comments or concerns?
So there was one, okay, so
Just so I'm understanding
The
these forms
packet
right,
here
some of
is
them had
not-
like red, so that was obviously a change. Was there anything else that was indicated in color that was a change?
there was on the
Like-
handouts that we received in our packet.
Yeah, in their
Not
package they are.
Mhm.
There's none on these printed ones.
Right, so the printed ones that have the blue banner across the top
Are the new,
would be the draft
without the red line.
without the red line.
It's harder to be clear about what is
What
and
about-
what
You want to see them?
isn't.
Right.
Do you want to see them?
So I'm
Yeah,
I'm
but-
going to look at my
I don't know.
my document here.
The red line
Hold
was
on.
with me.
I have mine if you need to.
Here we go. And just, if you hit this right there,
Okay.
they're in order right there.
Scan through it, like-
65.
They were just tweaks.
Yeah, that's
There
what
was not major.
Yeah, there were just...
It didn't
It was
look
like
like
verbiage.
No
tweaks.
major revisions at all.
Right, like,
That's what I
as an
thought, that's what I
example,
thought I understood.
Parent-teacher organization instead of
Parent-teacher
parent-teacher
association.
association.
Right.
Right.
Little,
Very little.
Yeah.
Relative to school
And also
committee
that we
meetings,
don't actually
meeting
meet in the
at
Brooke House anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, that was a good,
yeah.
That's a good
Yeah.
catch.
Yeah.
okay.
Um,
So no, I didn't have any
No,
comments.
okay.
That's what I thought I understood, so.
Okay,
So
so,
I did have one
Which one?
on the agenda format, 6505.
yeah, okay. Which one?
We struck out "and visitors." I would think that we'd still want to provide...
Oh, hold on. I don't remember that one.
So the agenda, together with supporting materials, will be distributed to committee members, and then we added 48 hours, crossed out "and visitors" 3 days prior.
Well, are we going to send it out to visitors 3 days?
Well, are we going to send it out to those who are invited
That's
to
different.
speak to us? Right, so should we include
Those aren't
people who are
visitors.
invited?
Yeah, that's not,
Well, I don't know, what was the intent of visitor? Was a visitor
I
somebody who
don't
was
know what the
invited?
intent of
I
that,
think
who wrote that?
probably folks who attend the meeting, and we do provide copies at the meeting.
We provide copies?
And that's what we interpreted as people who just came to the meeting and then took up.
Just general public?
Yeah.
Not
Not
invitees?
an invitee.
Okay.
So are invitees addressed in another part, or should they be included?
Or should they be included?
If you're invited
For
to
example,
know.
we invited several people for the athletic advisory on the middle school athletics.
Mhm.
Would we have provided, and actually they provided us the information, but would we have provided them information 3 days prior?
No,
Relative to inviting them on the agenda, that kind of stuff?
no, because they asked to be on the agenda. Most of the
Well,
people asked
but they asked to be on
the
the agenda, but we had to invite them to be on a specific
The
day.
doc-
Just think of
Documents
it
that
this
we're
way,
reviewing.
you know all of the documents that I provide to you?
Yes.
Right.
Would you want all of those documents provided to somebody who has asked to be on the agenda to come make a presentation?
Okay,
Not-
that's,
Okay, so it's not those, it's those...
that's exactly what we're talking about.
Okay.
Okay. And I was picturing it was more if they wanted it for specific, they were invited for a specific agenda item, that whatever we were going to be discussing, that they would also have access to that same particular document relative to what we were going to be discussing. So we all had the pages in front of us.
And they would, because they would come to the...
But in advance, so if they had
Well,
particular questions that they wanted to
Right.
review prior to.
No.
That was my concern as well, my question. Is if we invite somebody to attend, and do we provide them the information ahead of time to prepare?
When we invite people, they're usually presenting to us.
Usually.
Right? Typically,
Well-
they're the ones that are presenting to us.
Or, so there's been, I've noticed on the Board of Selectmen meetings,
Mhm.
there's a talk of, we need to get together with the school committee. Well, the school committee invites the Board of Selectmen over to our meeting about a topic relative to, say, fees. Would we provide them the information, like our fee schedule and everything else ahead of time?
Yes,
Right.
yeah.
So, okay,
But
in
we
that
don't have
instance,
it.
we would be inviting them
Yeah.
and we would provide them the information, but there's no requirement for us to provide them the information.
No.
Right.
Do we need to make a requirement for that, though? Do we need to?
That's the question. Do we need a requirement to do that?
I don't think so.
I think it would have to be so selective
Mm-hmm.
that it would be hard to actually accurately put it into words here, because, what parts of the material? Because some of the materials
Right.
don't...
Not all of the
Right.
materials,
And,
obviously.
Right.
and
So
most of the time,
And what if you missed the 48
Or you say
hours?
relevant.
right, and some of it doesn't come together as we know. Some
Until
of
last
some of the
minute.
materials come to us an hour or 45 minutes before the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, that verbiage would need to be different, because...
If you don't want to put something, I don't know, that's hard to put into policy to and then enforce it. Well, would you want to have them
No,
have it 3
I
days
don't-
prior?
I don't know.
3 days
Yeah,
prior.
I wasn't
That's
gonna
what I'm
do
asking.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right, I'm not seeing, if we invite somebody,
But
the
I don't know
agenda
that
with
you have to
supporting
have that in
materials will be
policy, though.
distributed to the committee members. Well, we're only talking about school committee decisions here, really, on this agenda, on this policy.
So this is the first reading. We'll have 2
This is
more
first
additional
reading.
readings and opportunity for public feedback on this particular issue. So if others have comments or thoughts on that, they can always share that with the superintendent.
And then, do we need to say that agendas will be posted and made available to the press? They're posted. And if the press goes looking at the website, then they're there, right? Or do we send a copy to the press?
If they want that.
As well.
copy,
If they
then
request
that's
it.
They can request, that's
They
not
can
request.
request.
Right, but we don't
Made available.
get it made available.
That's what,
It's available on the website, but okay.
It's made available, though. If
It-
they requested it, we would make it available.
We would send it individually.
Yeah, we always
Instead of
have,
saying,
yeah.
go to the website.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Was that the only concern you had?
Those were on that policy, yes, that was the
Did you
only.
have any on the other?
I did not have any other questions on any
Okay.
other policy, sorry.
Okay.
But those were just things that came to
Okay.
mind. It's, if we're inviting somebody, it is common decency to provide them with the materials that
Yeah, but I
they're
don't
going
know
to use.
that it has to be reflected in our policy.
And that's what I'm not,
You know what I mean?
right.
That
But
policy
if we're trying to
specific to
tighten down our
school committee
policies to the point where, this is how we operate, then I would think that the public would want to know how we operate.
That is a procedure as opposed to a policy.
Fine line.
But
It's a procedure to provide it to us 48 hours in advance of this meeting.
this is addressing
But, right,
specifically...
but we're making it
committee
a
members.
policy
But
to
it's
provide it to
specific
us.
to school
before the
committee
meeting.
members, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That part's specific.
Yeah, this whole...
But the thing, like I said, the thing that got me was crossing out the visitors. So, I
At
don't
some
know.
point in the past, someone
At some
felt
point, somebody felt the
that
visitors
were
needed
important.
that. So, and by visitor, I don't know how they had defined that in the past. whether it was
No, that
an invited guest.
12 years ago.
Right.
Right, so this
Right.
was the days when they were
It was all
posted.
paper.
Everything was paper. It was printed more in advance. I think some of that language comes from how things worked procedurally prior to the digital age.
Procedure.
Yeah. Procedure.
Right, not policy. Semantics.
Well, it is.
It is.
But
Yes.
again.
But, and if we're cleaning up policy, do we want to make it clearer, or do we need to add that step? And this is, I'm just, take it back to the policy subcommittee, and if there's anybody that feels that needs to be addressed, then fine. I just think that there might be something possibly missing. Or if the public has any
Right,
comment,
that's fine.
they can make public comment or notify the policy subcommittee as well on their thoughts.
They can email Dr. Burnham.
They can email Dr.
Yeah.
Burton, yes.
So we're going to waive the first reading, but this is the first reading, we waive the readings, the actual
Yes.
readings.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're not going to
Reading
read
out loud.
all of those.
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, I guess somebody needs to make a motion to do that.
I was going to do that. I make a motion to waive readings of policy number 6501, 6505, 1202, 1700, and 2200.
I'll second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Okay. And now we have 2 donations.
Yes, these will be posted. Do we need to just
These will
remind
be
everybody
posted,
that
yeah,
they will be
they
posted
will be
online?
posted online.
If folks want to take a close look at these policies as they would be ratified.
Right. They will be posted and available for comment.
Yes.
Okay, so donations. We received a donation from Laurie and Bob Cooney in the amount of $450 for a Nature's Classroom Scholarship. The donation would be deposited in the Turkey Hill Elementary School gift account and earmarked for Nature's Classroom tuition. And we recommend that we accept that gift.
I move that we accept the Cooney's gift for the scholarship for a student for Nature's Classroom with our deep gratitude and thankfulness. It's very generous.
They do every year, too.
I know how much that meant to my kids when they went through Nature's Classroom. It was a great experience, and they do this, as you said, every
Annual,
year.
yeah.
That's just very thoughtful and very grateful.
Second on the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then the second one?
And the second gift
It's in the folder.
is from the Stillman Fair.
Yeah. Do you want the amount?
Okay.
Here's the amount.
$2,295 was raised through the Stillman Fair, which I attended, which was fantastic. And it's actually being pushed back to the schools through the Wellness Advisory Committee, specifically to defray costs for the second year of the interface referral service.
Great. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
They did a lot of work collaboratively, the Wellness Committee, with the other organizers for the fair, and it's a big help and very much appreciated. So again, I would recommend that we accept.
I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the donation from the Wellness Committee. Is that?
It's still in fair.
From the Stillman Fair.
To the wellness.
To the Wellness Committee. Do I need to state the amount?
No?
Okay.
I'll say.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
And
oh,
thank you to
this-
Stillman Fair.
I know,
Yes,
thank you.
thank
That's
you.
outstanding. That's a huge donation.
That is.
Yeah?
And we sell much more.
Well, yeah,
We do.
of course.
Superintendent Combs actually was instrumental in that partnership and that suggestion around that. So it's great to see that come through on the
And
other
again,
side.
it's such a benefit not only to the schools and the children in the schools, but for the entire community. You don't have to have a child in the schools to take advantage of this service. So it's pretty important given the circumstances that everyone finds themselves in terms of the community wanting to support people who are struggling. So.
Okay, so the old business action is the Bengals fall season agreement. Is that you?
So I am happy to be bringing to you an agreement with the Bengals for this season. It really was a collaborative process, and I want to thank Chuck Hodemarsh for working with us. They basically got to the point of telling us what they could afford, what they had budgeted for the year for the fees, and we worked with them to find compromises on how much access, how many fields, how many days, how many nights, how many hours, and so on. So there was a lot of back and forth to clarify language and be sure everybody was on the same page, but I believe, as I sit here tonight, that everybody is in agreement. I have heard no comment otherwise from the organization. So I believe that this is the final agreement that everybody can get behind. And again, we were able to make this reduction in fee this year because we had an unanticipated, unplanned rental of of one of the fields last spring that brought money into the revolving account that we can use to make this reduction this one season.
You all saw the agreement, right?
Yes.
I think you all made comments? Did you?
We have.
Your tweets, yeah.
And it does
Yes.
include our stated policies for use of our facilities.
Yes.
Which I liked because it was very well laid out.
Very clear.
Very
Yeah.
clear, what was expected. So,
In the term of the season, the date's August 1st to November 1st. It's laid out as to what constitutes the season.
Yeah.
Right.
And that this agreement is for this one season, ending November 1, 2018.
So you want us to make a motion that you could sign it?
As was the policy, I was to bring a
Right.
recommended agreement, a seasonal fee, to you for your consideration and approval.
So I need a motion to approve the seasonal agreement with the youth football.
I'll make a motion to approve the Lunenburg Youth Football Association fall agreement as outlined.
I can second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 thank you, Dr. Burnham.
Yes.
Thank you for
Getting that
Thank
done.
you.
persistent taking
Getting that
care of
done.
that.
Okay. Thank you. Public comment. Okay, you can sit over there and just...
Can you do your name and address on a paper for us? to get
Yeah, our secretary's not here.
Oh,
Yeah. She's going to watch the video.
I'll
and-
spell it for you.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah.
Laura Brzozowski, 21 Francis
Oh,
Ave.
yeah, we'll need that spelled.
Yeah.
I know how to spell it.
I know you do, but I don't.
I'm a Brownie troop leader. I met with Dr. Burnham today, and I really do. I appreciate the out-of-the-box thinking a lot. And I do really appreciate the deferral. I think we're still going to meet at St. Boniface just because the girls need continuity to know where we are meeting, and the parents need to know the plan. I don't want to find out at the last minute in January that we're going to have to find another option. So I started the process of reserving the room at the very beginning of August. I emailed Principal McKenna first to make sure we could still use the teacher's lounge. We originally met in the cafeteria, and then 10 years ago we used to meet in the cafeteria when I was a troop leader then. And then I found out last year, the day before school started, that the cafeteria was not available. So the teacher's lounge was sort of our last minute fix for suddenly just realizing we had no meeting space. And we did it, and I was appreciative. So I started this process in early August, and then I didn't hear anything back until September 11th. That evening, I got an invoice for $210, which is a lot of money for us. So yeah, it was less than a week before our first meeting, and our meeting was supposed to be 2 days ago, but we ended up canceling it because I didn't know if we'd be able to meet or not, and I didn't want to meet and then incur a fee that we couldn't pay or hadn't budgeted for.
Just a quick, did you use the school dude?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. It takes a long time.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes a long time to get things requested there. And I just want to clarify, when John Lana sent the invoice, I emailed him back to make sure that we weren't being charged for custodians, and he reiterated we're not being charged for the custodians. It would be more if we were being charged for the custodians. So what I'm asking for is a clarification of the policies, because it was very confusing to me as far as what a nonprofit Lunenburg Youth is versus the fee schedule. You have nonprofit Lunenburg Youth and then a nonprofit organization, and I don't know the difference. I would think that we would fall under Lunenburg, nonprofit Lunenburg Youth.
Okay, but the nonprofit in Lunenburg Youth has an asterisk next to it?
Yeah.
It says that it requires a seasonal agreement.
Yes, so can we do a seasonal agreement to meet at the school, or by seasonal, is that implying that it's a...
Well, you could do an annual one, yes, because you use it, it's for, the intention of that was for groups that used our facilities more than one time, like reoccurring, like the Bengals and our soccer and the basketball group, because they used it so frequently in their seasons. So I don't know, though, how we would charge any less than what the $7.50, what is it, $7.50 an hour?
Yeah, and I didn't know there was a fee, or else I reserve the room between 3 and 5 because we get there early and set up, and usually the teacher's lounge is, usually we clean up the teacher's lounge a little, and then the meeting ends at 4:30, and by the time parents come, it's 4:45, and then I usually go back inside and we clean the room and leave it cleaner than we found it. So I reserved it between 3 and 5, but we're really only meeting there between 3:20 when school gets out. By the time we get in the room, it's 3:25 until 4:30. So we're really...
It's an hour?
We're using it for about an hour and 10 minutes a month. Or, sorry, 2 hours and 10 minutes a month.
And if we're charging Field Lights $7 an hour, and all we're using, and they're cleaning up after themselves, seems to be...
And sometimes we don't even turn the lights
just to use the classroom.
Right.
But they may not have to use it for 2 hours. And if there's a different space that
Doesn't
is
need
already
clean.
clean.
So, and I mean, the Girl Scouts, we've historically met at the school. There's a long history of meeting there. It works. I mean, I remember as a kid meeting at the school for Girl Scouts. And we try to, it's a really nice integration of the community and the schools. It lets the girls meet in a safe place. I don't have to drive them. We don't have to, and not only do we have to query all our drivers, we actually have to register them as Girl Scouts, so then the troop is incurring a 20 cent.
I was going to say they have to pay.
I'm not thrilled about that.
I don't see any problem with them having a seasonal or annual agreement.
No.
To me, they fall under the category, the other group as well.
There are
because
3
they use-
asterisks under the 2018 fee schedule, but the 3 asterisks are a greater than 75% Lunenburg participation.
Yeah.
And all our girls are from Lunenburg
Right.
right now.
And that's what makes them fall under the Lunenburg Youth nonprofit
Yes.
versus the general
Yes.
nonprofit.
If we can create a seasonal fee.
Right. You would have to, but that's, again, you.
Yep.
That would be you working with Dr. Burnham, not us.
Even with
Yeah.
that might just change the amount we're looking for
From a donator.
From a donor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Would it be significantly less? I mean, $210 is not an insignificant amount. We don't do many fundraisers, and the things we do generally, we give the money back to the community. I mean, this year we spent our cookie money from last year. We planted flowers outside the primary school. We planted, and then I think we did it the year before, too, we did geraniums under the sign, and we did the planters out front, not the ones outside the very front of the office, someone else did those, but the ones outside the entrance, the kids come into, and then we did the buddy bench, too, because Principal Blaisdell asked us to. And that's actually where most of our money went last year, was stuff for the school, which...
It's almost like an in-kind.
We're going to throw it to you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
That
This is
almost
earmarked.
sounds like an in-kind
right.
contribution to me.
Okay.
So we're going to,
But
So I'll work
we'll
with
defer
you.
to the superintendent.
We're
Figure
gonna- yeah.
something out,
Okay.
and we'll make it work.
Okay, that would be wonderful.
okay.
Yes.
Okay. And, yeah, I try to keep the cost to the Girl Scouts as low as possible so that all the girls can participate. Like, this year, a bunch of our cookie money from this year's sale, last year's leftover money is just going to defray the cost of uniforms, so that those add up, too.
How many girls do you have?
I have 12 girls.
12.
Right now, we might end up with 13. But some troops are larger. We just capped it at 12.
What grade is that?
It's second grade.
Second.
Yeah. And then next year, I'm going to do kindergarten, too.
Oh, wow.
So,
Oh, yeah, reason you should stay for that.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. Okay. Do you need my address, too?
no.
It's public comment, so yeah, can you throw it on there? That would be
She's not going to
fantastic.
write it in a minute.
But then we've documented the
Yeah.
way we need to.
Yep.
Just in case.
Thank you.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you know what, do we want to leave that up there? Let's leave it up there for Phyllis.
Put that up there for...
Phyllis, luck.
Phyllis Luck, 50 Sunset Lane. I wanted to-
almost said it.
I wanted to chime in on the policy discussion here. I think it's just good practical sense. If you're inviting a group to visit, to meet with you, to talk about a particular issue, you're going to give them the information ahead, because instead of reading the information, they're meeting with you.
I agree with
They've
that.
done the homework.
Yeah.
So I don't think it needs to be in the policy, though.
Right.
Because I think, we've been going over Board of Selectmen policies, and there is so much stuff in those policies. I think they're fairly useless, because there's just too much information. Policy should be simple guidelines on you get to the meat of it, the nuts and bolts of the things you absolutely have to do. If it's a procedure that an intelligent human being would follow as a matter of course, you don't need to write it down, because we're adults and we're professionals. I do think usually more is not better. I think keeping it simple, people might actually read it. When you read these policies that are 3 or 4 pages, you go, really? If it took you this much time to write this down, I'm not going to read it. I think bullets. I like bullets. So I agree that.
Don't take our paper. Where are you going?
Oh, I'll hand it back.
No, just leave it right there.
All right. Want me to write my name down?
Yeah.
I'll do it later. Oh,
Thank
for
you.
your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Public comment?
Oh, me? Okay. Hi, Lynn Walsh, 1576 Massachusetts Avenue. I don't have a pen.
Here, take a minute.
Mine might be...
Airplane. Everybody need a cigarette?
So, my understanding is there's been some discussions about how parents or family and friends are invited to the banquets that we have at the end of the season for the different sports teams. I'm part of the Lunenburg Field Hockey Booster Club and the Lacrosse Booster Club. Was basketball, but not anymore. So, when we do an end-of-the-year banquet, what we do is we put together a little invitation, and we send the invitation home with each player. The player can invite who they would like to come to the banquet. We typically have an RSVP date, because we make a reservation. You have to guarantee so many people based on the numbers. So we give it a time limit it's significant to get the invitation back and the fee back, so we know who's coming, so we can plan. We do not, it's not up to us who the player is going to invite. And we honor who the player wants to bring. It's not up to us to say yes or no, but if a player comes to us and they do not want someone to come, and they are not invited, and they come and show up at the event without paying, causing a situation where you're trying to find seating, you have the players upset because this person's not supposed to be there, or people not supposed to be there. It not only upsets the player, but the players all around, because they're seeing that's supposed to be a very happy occasion, a celebration of all their hard work, and you have this situation that arises that we, as just people running this organization, don't know how to handle. When we do reach out to the administration and are told if these people show up that are not invited, they've been told not to come, you need to call the police. Those are the situations that we, just trying to do a little banquet, have been involved in the past few years. And it's to be told that they're not supposed to come, that the police will be called if you come, to still show up and come in the room when the lights are off, and when the lights go on, be standing there very boldly and causing a situation, and we trying to downplay the situation, not have it escalate, just hope the situation goes out the door, which eventually does happen. We are not trying as boosters to control who is invited or not. It is the player who they choose to invite. We, as the boosters, are not involved in that. If we are told by administration or a legal situation has come up and they come to us, then that's a little bit differently. We're trying to follow what we're supposed to do. So that's kind of, I've heard that there's been some misunderstandings about how we do invitations and how the banquet goes and things like that. So that's what I wanted to let people know.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just write this up with that.
So the point of information on two comments made tonight. Again, follow up with attorneys relative to a request to develop policy around inviting all parents, family members to these events. Again, our legal counsel has said that that is not within our purview. Additionally, relative to school dude, I think that it's worth letting folks know, and again, we need to do a better job of getting some information out, I think, about the process. It goes through multiple layers of approval. It starts with either the athletic director, or if it's inside the school facility, or if it's a gymnasium, it might be the athletic director as well. The principal has to sign off. It then goes to the director of facilities for him to sign off. Then it comes to me to sign off. So it's a multi-layered process, and it does take some time. Again, we can do a better job of communicating out right away that the process may take 2 to 3 weeks or something like that.
I thought it said on there 1 week.
Yeah, it doesn't take 1 week.
I know,
Right.
I thought on School Dude it might have said it though.
And that's why I say we've got to remedy that, because
I'm
that's
almost positive it
Reset
said 1 week,
expectations.
but I
Right.
could be wrong.
yeah.
Right, people need to have a clear idea of how
how
long
long
things will take.
Right.
And then keeping them, somewhat within those guidelines as
Yes.
well.
Yeah.
Or at least in lieu of pay, it's, we got 2 levels of
Right.
approval. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not as simple as we put the request in and somebody clicks approve and we're all done.
Oh,
It goes through multiple,
and
and sometimes, particularly the athletic director has to cross-reference with game schedules and whatnot. to
And you
make
do
sure-
get an email after everyone approves, like once a level approves it, you get an email that it's been approved and then forwarded.
Mhm.
And then you get another email that...
In
it's
those
been
emails,
approved.
does it let them know how many other levels are beyond that?
It just says, okay, it was approved by, say, Tim Santry, if you wanted this room. Tim Santry has approved it, and then it goes to Mr. Londa. Then it says Mr. Londa has approved it, but it doesn't tell you, and if you don't know
The process.
the process, you think it might be approved.
Right.
Right.
You don't
When
know
you
you're on
have
step 1 or
Mr.
4.
Yeah.
And you might
It's
show up.
not final.
No, it's not until, and then you finally get one that says it's been approved.
Right, so I think, again, much of what we've been talking about really
Yeah.
comes back to good communication around expectations, what you can expect from us, and we can do a better job.
Yeah, school dude is tricky.
It is.
Very tricky. The first page that comes up is always maintenance.
Mhm.
And if you're not looking for maintenance and you just want a room, you have to
Mhm.
find it on the school dude, and it's a little tricky the first go around. I did ask
It's
for
not as
maintenance
easy as,
one time.
approve all.
No,
You have
it's
to go
not.
in and approve every
Right.
single
One.
one, back and forth, multiple screens.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not even like I can
No, I
see a
believe
list
it.
and say, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
done.
Is there
Yeah.
any other software
Back
that
and forth, back
maybe
and
would
forth.
be easier than school dude?
Something with the built-in.
Perhaps, something
You know,
that we
maybe we could
it's something we
Google
can think about.
Easy. Just a little, like, maybe just look at, like, maybe there's a little something
Mhm.
that we can investigate.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
We could also potentially take a look at taking a layer off.
I don't...
The common applications where it's like, it's the same group.
Right.
Yep, it's again, when it's out of the
Ordinary.
a new user for a new purpose, perhaps having to
Right.
come to this level, but to approve the annual monthly, bi-monthly meetings for the scouts, to, approve the field use for the soccer organization. I mean, they're pretty
Right, it's like
routine, they're the
advisory.
same year after
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
It's pretty standard, it's what we've come to, yep. So maybe we could
Yeah.
take a layer off and kind of move the process forward a little faster. Again, when it's a new use, a new organization requesting access, to have this level, another layer, something to consider.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. Okay, reports.
I did have a public.
Oh, you have a
comment.
public comment?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you need to
No.
go to the public comment section. Only kidding.
I know. No, just, I mentioned it before the meeting, I did want to just make it public. I noticed when I came in to the campus a couple days ago, those beautiful banners that the class of 2017 donated to us.
Oh, some of them are from different groups.
And there are some
Yeah.
2013s I noticed.
And student council or something, I did notice one, I was trying to read them all.
Well, it was the class of 2017's idea to
It
get
was
those
their
up.
brilliant idea,
It
yes.
was a brilliant idea.
Yes, it was
They turned
definitely-
out gorgeous.
Yes.
I guess John put them up, Mr. Londa, I'm assuming.
It was done in-house, yes.
And he did a great job.
And they're all up now, right?
I believe so.
Because I think more were added after the
Yes.
initial.
Yeah, I've seen them.
Yes, yeah.
Every time I'm here, I seem to see more.
Yeah.
Well, with the
And it's
initial order that was placed in when the materials arrived, we had all of the banners, but we didn't have enough brackets to hang them on.
Oh.
So we put that back to the company, they said, not a problem. They sent some out, they were the wrong size.
Yeah.
So then we had to wait
Not a
yet
problem.
again for the last of the brackets to come in so that we could hang the rest.
They look great.
They look
That's-
fabulous. It's really sharp.
It does look, it adds
So
another
sharp.
layer of sophistication, I
Yeah.
guess, for lack of a
For the
better term,
the
to this
campus,
this
for the
gorgeous
campus.
campus.
Yeah.
The
It's
citizens
more of a
of
campus
Orange.
now.
Yeah, it's,
You used to drive
It's
to
very nice.
Pittsburgh and they had them all along the road when
Yeah.
you went to the high school and you're like, that is so impressive. This is now impressive.
this is nice,
Mhm.
very nice. And I look forward to seeing it expand.
Yeah. onto like that.
onto Mass Ave. Well, gotta get the state involved in that one, don't we?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot. Maybe-
That's all I had relative
Okay.
to public comment.
All right, thanks, Jim.
Sure.
Charter review. You have that.
Charter review, yes.
I did not attend.
We met
Last one.
I don't remember.
Last Wednesday, wasn't it?
Last Wednesday, yes, the 12th. We had, so the next meeting was supposed to be on the 26th of September. It's been canceled.
10:10.
And now it's October 10th. During that meeting, they plan to have, they've invited people to talk about ranked choice voting, as well as Phyllis and her husband will be joining us to talk about one of the amendments around write-in candidates and having enough votes on a write-in candidate to be placed onto a board or a committee.
Oh, okay, I remember that discussion.
Yeah.
The month, yeah.
There is one piece
Yeah, that was always interesting.
of open business, I guess, that Heather had brought to us as a committee a couple of months ago, maybe it was, relative to the language on school committee either selecting or electing
Yes.
a superintendent. I don't know that we ever took action
We did not.
on that.
I gave you all the charter language from school committee and asked for feedback, but I did not have any.
And so if there is any feedback,
Yeah,
one way or another, let Heather and I know.
Yeah.
If not, then maybe we put it on the agenda to vote on the language
right,
for
the school committee part.
for the school committee language relative to the charter
If you
review.
need that, again, let me know and I'll forward it to you. Okay.
Yeah, right now it says that
Okay.
it says that we would elect or select.
Elect or select, right?
Let me double check. I've got it here.
The superintendent. And I always thought it was a point. We take a
Where's
vote.
all
We take a
marked
vote,
up?
right?
I would think appoint or elect would be more appropriate than select.
All right.
What does
Oh,
it say?
so we had, so it said, I think it said select, and what they changed, or it said elect, and then they've changed it to select.
Yeah, it was,
And then we're thinking maybe it should read
Read
appoint. So the powers and duties of the school committee shall include the following: to appoint, elect, select, whichever word we want, a superintendent of the schools,
right.
who will do their day-to-day stuff. That was really the only change in the charter relative to the school committee language. It's what word do we want?
Okay.
Athletic advisory.
That's you too?
That's me too. So we met on September 4th. We have now decided that we're going to meet every first Tuesday of the month.
Well, that's good.
At 6:30 p.m. in this room. We discussed some fall fundraising requests and approved fundraising requests for the fall fundraisers for football, field hockey, golf, and soccer. Those fundraising requests should all be at some point on the website as to what they are, what the goals are. I need to check with James on how that's getting updated because I don't know. We also proactively approved the football fundraising request for next year because that gave her the opportunity to sign the contract to get the gold card started now, so that they know that they're going to do the same thing basically next year relative to that. We talked about the schedule. We talked about some different where our priorities were, and last year we had come up with our priorities and we went through them again this year. Transparency relative to the fundraising. Last year we managed to get the policy updated, and now we're working through the process of how we get the approvals in. Because we did have some of these start before they were officially approved. But the only thing that I think we're still missing, and this is when we're having a transition of administrative staff, is transparency on putting it on the website, making sure that people are accessing what the fundraisers are, why they're there, so that we're not calling the athletic advisor or athletic director asking, what's this fundraiser for? So that's one of the things we want to do. One of the bigger topics of priority discussion was service opportunities
For student
for
athletes.
student athletes to give back to the community and to be available. So Mrs. Tuscon had mentioned this last year. It was on our list. We had, I've forgotten. I've forgotten the name. But Dean DeFrancesco's daughter.
Oh, yeah.
Jillian. I thought I had Jillian written down, but didn't see it. She made a presentation about a conference that she attended for NESLC, where there were about 300 students, where they share ideas about teamwork and community service. And so she came back to that fired up and really pumped to be working with. So she brought that back to James as well, and he's going to try and, when he's working on his budget, see if we can get more kids there. This was a self-funded trip by her and her family, so she had nothing but positive things to say about that.
Can you tell me, at the athletic advisory meeting, when they brought their fundraisers to you, did they tell you about family caps?
Yes, so family caps is part of the so that's part of the
goal.
The goal is so each one of them did give us their own family caps.
Were they reasonable? Did you think they were?
Yeah, so like for field hockey, family cap was to sell 25 tickets per family, as opposed to 20 per person.
Yeah.
So if they had multiple people or multiple
Two
kids,
girls on the team.
they'd only have to sell 25.
There were a few of those on field hockey too.
There were, yeah. So that was one of them.
Has the advisory looked at how one sport handles fundraising versus another? What is?
So we've broached the subject. The ultimate goal is, I think, that everybody's seeing eventually, is that we need to have some more parity in terms of fundraising, and that it might not make a lot of sense to have 4 fundraisers going on at the same time, hitting the same group of people, as opposed to doing one seasonal fundraiser that everybody gets a piece of the pie. So I think this is something that they'll be thinking about going, but it's not going to happen overnight. It's this is going back to the concept of the single booster club, where everybody's equal, everybody's got a voice, everybody's participating, and everybody gets a piece of the donations or the fundraising. But they're all, at this point, they're still relatively siloed. But they are seeing that there's maybe some economies of scale to be able to have by working together. So I think bringing all these people together is helpful going forward, and there's definitely opportunities.
Does James have any experience with the one booster school thing? You know,
He did imply that he had some of that experience with one of the other districts that he had worked with.
Okay. Because that would help.
Yes, it would. So, I don't think they're, and we've kind of talked about this candidly, I don't think any one booster club is ready to say, hey,
I know that's not.
Let's take this first step. but getting them together, working together as a group, I think will lead to that eventually. It may be 5 years down the road before it happens, but you got to plant the seed somewhere, and you got to start working towards that goal. And as more information is being made available by James, he was sharing some information about what each individual booster club has to do. There's specific rules that you got to do, and if you're all having to do the same thing, it might make more sense to only do it once instead of 14 times. So there's things that are, I think, as everybody's learning and becoming more involved in what the rules are, that and the concession stand is a good example, right? Everybody now understands, hey, there's some rules around this, and they're rallying around how do we fix this as a group instead of as individuals. So I think that's a positive step forward, and I'm glad to be part of it at this point, because, like I said, I don't have a dog in that fight.
Oh, no, you don't.
So I can take a very neutral stand on all the athletics because I am neutral.
Perfect on that
Yeah.
committee.
So that's all I had for that, and that took a long time. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I think that the feedback that I get from people that are on there, it's enlightening because they really didn't know what other groups were doing.
Yeah,
They really just didn't know.
yeah.
And it's also good for A.D. Bunnell to see
The big
locally
picture, yeah.
when he's sitting.
Right.
Just even some sports, if you sell anything for the fundraiser, that's fine. And if you don't, that's fine too. And in other sports, there's a much clearer expectation, just inequities like that. Everybody can see it, but I think it's also important for the athletic director to see differences like that as well.
Okay, so we'll be coming back to you with some recommendations at some point.
Okay, good. Finance committee.
They met on the 13th, I think it was, and one thing during public comment, Mr. Henshaw said that he wanted to look into how the increased town population was affecting services, and all services in the town, that as the town grows. So there was a comment about that. The public hearing for the special town meeting is 7:30 on October 11th. The Capital Planning Committee will meet in the next few weeks looking for 5 to 10-year plans. And their next meeting is the 27th of September.
The special town meeting is October what?
November.
November, but November 4th.
No, I could be wrong.
No.
I don't know what the date is
Okay.
on that.
I think, I don't remember.
I didn't write
It was
down.
the 13th or something.
But their
Thursday.
public
It's a
hearing is
Tuesday.
October.
Usually it's
It's after Thanksgiving
Public
weekend, I
hearing
think.
October.
It's after
No,
Thanksgiving?
No, it's before that.
It's on the 13th.
It's on the
Before
13th.
the
Okay.
Tuesday the 13th.
Yeah, because that's when the Architectural Preservation District meets, but they're going to change to
Because
accommodate
town.
the town meeting, special town meeting.
Blizzard bag advisory.
And where the Blizzard Bags Advisory is they're looking for members. The principals are setting that up.
Okay.
And so we have nothing to report on that end.
We don't have a complete slate yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Okay. Policy subcommittee, when is our next meeting? October 18th. Okay.
Next meeting is October 18th.
And you have all the policies?
So we met last week, bringing forward the policies that we discussed earlier in the meeting for review, and we're continuing to look at more policies.
And if you have any that you flagged other than the one that Meredith flagged for us,
Yep.
we're going to have Mr. McGrath look at that graduation requirements and bring it.
Yes.
And have it
Grad
for
requirements,
us in
definitely.
our next meeting. Okay, very nice. PTO.
PTO just met this past Monday. I was mistaken last time on my date. My PTO is mixed up, but we just met this past Monday, the 17th. It was a nice back to school kind of getting to meet a few new members. Of course, membership is always super important, so if anyone hasn't signed up for their membership, they can do that simply on lunenburgpto.org. And of course, having members come to the meetings is very valuable as well. The next meeting will be October 15th. Some of the things that they discussed as far as fundraising, we've got Miles for Miles coming on October 21st. That's the 5K race throughout our town. Pretty well attended and a lot of fun. And then the Barnes & Noble's night is scheduled for Thursday, November 15th, and they're going to be looking for some teachers and community members to read to the students throughout that evening. So there should be an email going out about that shortly.
And Penny Force? Is that PTO run still or no?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
PTO did run it, but they didn't discuss it at that last meeting, so...
I know what's going on
It's
this
running
week. I
next.
saw.
It's running this
Okay,
week.
it's running
Yeah,
this week.
I
Okay.
saw them going to the bank.
Bring in your
Yeah,
pennies
bring in
and
the pennies
all
to the
change.
Yeah.
Or dollars, those work too.
And checks.
Checks work too. Yep.
School councils, has anybody had a school council meeting yet?
No.
Not
No, we're
yet. I
still trying to get one
saw
together
the
for
high school
primary.
was asking for parents who were interested.
That's on our
Mhm.
topics for future discussion. Okay, so next month, next meeting, maybe, no, probably not.
Depends.
Depends on when they get them in, okay.
Oh, by our next meeting, no, probably
No.
not.
Topics for future discussion. LHS advisory,
Is that different from the school council?
So in reference to my notes, I had advisory. And I didn't know if that was in reference to something that Mr. McGrath had reported about the opening of school. Was
I
there
just
another
think it's a
interpretation of
school council. I
advisory?
think it might just be the school.
Yeah, I think
School at
the verbiage is just...
safety.
Okay.
School advisory
Yeah. Okay.
council.
To my recollection, it was called the advisory, so when I saw the email about school council, I thought it was a different thing, but it sounds
School
like...
advisory council.
Yeah,
SAC.
right.
Okay.
So I think it's the same
I
thing.
think it's, yes. Do you have any topics for future discussion?
Cannot think of anything right now.
No?
No.
Oh, I was going to bring up a date that I have a conflict with in October, the 17th, it's a Wednesday. It is the field hockey senior night, so Eliza will be missing as well because she's a senior. And we will be celebrating her success as well as all the other seniors. So I won't be at this meeting.
Okay.
So I wondered if we could either change the date or Wendy will run the meeting.
Change the date to...
I don't know.
The 16th is soccer senior night, so I
Yeah,
will
see.
not be here that night.
Is that the Tuesday before
That's
us?
Tuesday.
Yeah, yeah, they're back to back, I knew that.
And the 18th, we have a policy subcommittee meeting.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
So I would
And
guess that...
Monday the 15th
Wendy
is
would run the
PTO.
meeting, yeah.
Mhm.
So, Wendy, you're going to run the meeting,
Absolutely. Okay.
okay?
Yes.
You'll be
Okay.
heartbroken, you'll be missing out
I will-
on the MCAS report.
Oh, I will be heartbroken about that. But
But fortunately...
celebrating other.
We have PAC here to record it.
I know, and I can
And
watch it on video.
later.
Mhm.
Like I watched last week's meeting,
Yeah.
or last meeting, yeah, right.
So, I think the only other topic for future discussion was we have a workshop next week, right?
25th.
We have a workshop ourselves, but I think that we were going to talk to the selectmen about having a workshop with the selectmen. Chairman Toll had spoken to me and asked if we would consider that. It would not be during a regular meeting time, it would be a workshop. So maybe if we could get some dates.
Are we talking November? I don't know when.
Just avoid baking season.
Baking season for me.
That's all I can say is avoid baking season.
Oh, the day before Thanksgiving,
we
2
don't wanna
days before
repeat it last
Thanksgiving.
year.
It will be not happening 2 days before Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
But-
no repeat.
I don't know, are we, I'm just throwing out,
Well, the special town meeting is in November as well. So I'm just thinking maybe want to wait until after special town meeting? Are you guys working on things to get prepared for special town meeting, or is that?
Yes, we've got workshops and meetings in October, but I mean, and Jamie did mention that he was trying to work on a date with you.
Yeah, so, why don't you guys just, I guess, look at your calendars for dates that lead over in October and November maybe?
I mean, it makes sense for it either to be our meeting or your meeting night, right?
No, I don't,
You don't think we can make it as part of
no.
it?
no, they do not
Our
want to.
agendas are
No, it's just going to be a workshop.
I mean, we got there, we're an hour.
When we have a workshop, it's our meeting night, and we maybe do a tiny bit of business that we absolutely can sign warrants
Okay,
or whatever.
last time, it wasn't a tiny bit of business. It was 2 hours of business, which is my pie comment.
Oh.
Remember that?
Two hours
Do
of
you
us
remember
sitting
that?
there
That
waiting
tiny
for you
bit
to
of
call
business.
us.
So
was 2
perhaps
hours
we're
long.
better off on a workshop.
And
So a night where we don't, we're not trying to
I prefer just to have it
balance
on a
it.
workshop so that there's no work that needs to be done,
Mm, that's
except
a
for
good
our
idea.
workshop.
Except the workshop.
Okay, because then you get your workshop done.
And then we can also,
Yeah.
sit collaboratively. It just, when we're at town hall, it's a different format.
Mhm, mhm.
So it just
Up a little
may,
bit.
maybe
You can have that.
work
And
better
then
as a
do
workshop.
maybe here, because this is a nice
That's what I'm
space.
thinking. Circle it up and,
Mhm.
yeah.
Oh, really?
Okay, my preference.
So why don't we do this? Why don't we all
Okay,
look at
so
our
we
calendars?
could, yes.
And tomorrow put together dates and,
Well, she's saying we could have it instead of one of our regular meetings because we have November 7th.
November 7th, we're slated to talk about the Superintendent's Award and the school calendar, which we just
Which we
talked
did.
about. We could push discussion of the school calendar in
To January.
December or
Yeah.
January, early January. And we can move the Superintendent's Award up. So that would open November 7th.
So you don't have an extra meeting.
I mean, we could maybe take a couple
If
minutes
that's
to do
okay with
warrants
you
and
guys.
minutes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
That we.
No, I think that's a great suggestion.
Okay, so I'm going to reach out to Jamie and see if that works for
And that's
you guys.
the town hall meeting.
Town hall meeting televised, live.
Okay.
And we know how everybody loves to watch workshops live.
viewership dropping off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I will reach out to Jamie and see about that.
Yeah, because then you can bring it up at the next meeting
Right,
next week.
next week. So I'll send him an email. Okay?
Okay.
So,
Motion to adjourn?
8:38.
8:38 PM?
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you.